everyone, it's Carla from Bound to Be Vintage. I'm here today with another thrift haul. This one is from the monthly flea market that I go to with my daughter, and they're items that I plan to use in junk journals or just to decorate my craft space. So the first thing you'll see is this large pair of scissors. I thought these were great. I have them propped up behind a vintage sewing machine that I have, and they were just $3. So I couldn't resist them as a piece of decor. And they are metal. I picked up this box of typing paper. It is onion skin. It's got 25% cotton fiber. The pages that came in contact with the box have a lot of patina, as you can see. Has that wonderful crinkly sound that you get with onion skin and that texture, and it's somewhat translucent. Some of the pages in the middle of the box are not as patinaed, but I thought I might try using some of this spring when I'm using the plastic lace tablecloths to coffee dye paper with a lace design. And I thought that might make an interesting page to have kind of a see-through lace design on it. I don't have a ton of luck running these through my printer sometimes. I usually have to take some very low tack tape and put it on a carrier sheet, just a regular sheet of printer paper that it's attached to, and then run it through that way. But I'm going to play around with these a little bit. So I don't know if I mentioned it, I don't remember, but it was just $1 for the whole box. So, and it's pretty full. So I picked that up to play with, especially for coffee dyeing. Next up, I got this. I thought the back was so interesting with all the patina and all the writing, with all the names. And I was interested in using that for collage background. You see, it's that vintage tape. Everybody tries to duplicate that now, and that's got the actual stuff. I didn't even pay attention to what the other side was. I had put a bundle together to take over to the vendor, and just kind of bought a bundle. So then later I looked and I realized that it is a military picture. So now I'm kind of torn about using the back, but I think I may use both the front and the back. I do have a nautical journal, so perhaps I could use some of the sailors in that. But I believe this says 1935. Let's see. Just love all this blue ink, all the different signatures. March 13th, 1933, senior dance, it says. Company 335. So I've got that. I picked up this little group of charms that were put together. I just found it interesting. I thought it might make a dangle. There's this sort of teardrop shape that's a mother of pearl. And then this little coin. And then this tag that says CDT 209 1874. And the little coin says the Sage Chappaqua Greeley. And apparently there was some big historical thing with Greeley. And this coin sells for 60 to 70 bucks on the internet and is supposedly rare. I just paid a couple dollars for this little set. I have no idea what CDT is, 1874, but I just like the way all three of them look together. So that may become a dangle. I picked up another piece of letterpress type. If you follow me at all, you know that I do some letterpress printing. I made myself a little press. Sometimes, however, these can be used as just like a regular rubber stamp when they're small. So I thought I'd give this one a try and see if that would work. see if I can scoot this over. Piece of scrap paper. The larger pieces of letterpress, you usually can't get enough pressure to use them like a stamp. That one works pretty well though. It says Henry Hale. And by putting something padded underneath, that helps to get a better impression. And the reason I picked up this signature stamp is because everybody's been making those identification cards. And they're using the, I think it's Kathy Holden that has all the signature stamps. And I don't have that set, so I thought for just $1 or so, I would pick up at least one signature to put on those identity cards. I picked up a bundle of lace and trims. They're vintage, they're very pretty. This is a navy blue with like a cording over a net background. Probably came off of a dress or a jacket, a suit. So there's quite a bit of that. And I just bought a bundle of laces from the gentleman. They're much prettier than the lace scraps that I would find in thrift stores. I usually don't find vintage, very intricate laces like this just at my thrift store. So I did pay a little bit more for these, but I thought they were still well priced. It's very pretty. And there's some fairly good links. This one's pretty stained. It can definitely use some washing. It's a crochet. It's quite intricate. Has this interesting sort of curved shape. Then there was this one that has kind of the netting in the middle. And again, there's quite a lot there. And then last, this one, which is just so beautiful. The inside of it is so delicate. It's layers of lace over this very fine kind of crochet type work. So those were the laces that I picked up. And then I found this airmail, pack of airmail stationery. And it is grungy as can be, but the packing was just really something. The packaging that it came in. Love this band. I'd like to use that. Then the stationery is plain, but it's quite patinaed. And it's quite thin and crinkly. And then it came with the envelopes as well. And you can see they are grungy, but this is what the inside looks like with the little airplanes. And apparently it was subjected to some moisture because the envelopes are sealed shut, but I was able to soak one open. So I will have to soak them in some water to loosen up that glue. But that's okay. I can glue them back together. And I don't think I'll even need to do any distressing on them because they are pretty well vintage photoed up without the vintage photo ink. I did get some postcards as well. Forgot to take this one out of the bag. Somebody had a lot of postcards for $1. Thought this was very pretty with the rose and all the gold embossing. Greetings from Ridgeway, Missouri. Does have a nice back. Couldn't resist this one, since this is my new hometown. Des Moines, Iowa, with the corn. And I'm not sure what this came from, because there's writing in the back like it was maybe it was pulled out of something. But it's got those great retro graphics. This one I picked for a specific journal that I have in the works that has a lot of black and red and is the Victorian era. And someone has done this little sketch on this postcard. It's the Fulton Mansion in Texas, sketched by Chris Eli, it says. And it is inked on there. You can see it's got a little ink splotch there where it got wet. So I thought that was very interesting. And then I got this bird postcard that I think is just beautiful. I don't know how well the camera's picking it up, but it's like gold striped background. And one of my favorite kinds of images are birds with letters. The idea of like the pigeon that carried messages, the homing pigeons, or just any kind of bird. So I just love this. And I currently have this on display, and I found this flower frog at the flea market. You have to be careful with them. They're very pointy. They were to put in the bottom of a vase, and then you would put the stems down on there so it would hold your flowers up straight. But in vintage circles, they're very often used to hold up postcards or ephemera. You can just slide it in there carefully, and then they stand up, and they have a great vintage look. So that's currently what I'm using those for, is just display. I found this little bitty piece of leather that says Iowa and has a flag on it. I got this wallet, and it's a little beat up. I want to try to maybe do some leather cleaning and touch up on it, make it look a little bit better. But again, I want to try one of those vintage faux ID cards and perhaps make a little book inside the wallet. I could sew the signature in here. And then you could have ephemera down in there. And I think I could use things like vintage checks, anything like that, old invoices, just anything that you might find in a wallet. So a lot of stuff was $1, so I grabbed that for future projects. I also got this little scrap of leather. I don't know how well you can see that. I want to try to clean this. I'll have to be careful because I don't know if the darker ink there will come off, but it's a little girl taking a photograph of a dog and says, "Now look pleasant, please," she's saying to the dog. And this was a postcard. Leather postcards were a thing. So I thought I might even want to just use this side that looks like a postcard. I'm guessing the holes are punched because it maybe had some kind of leather binding or stitching around it. So that would be a way that I could embellish it too if I wanted to. But I think I will try just a little bit of leather cleaner, maybe test in a corner, and see if I can get this image a little more clear. I picked up a couple of photos because they were very, very inexpensive. I love the embossed frames that they're in. This is a little girl and boy on a horse at the beach. There's a boardwalk you can see back behind them. And the frame is just very nicely embossed. And then this lady, also with an embossed frame. She's got her jewelry and crochet on there. Also for $1, I found these Currier and Ives cards. It's 2 of the seasons. It says the Road Summer and the Road Winter. I thought that the winter one would be great for winter and Christmas journals. And then the other one is the man with the horse in the surrey. And they have a lot of patina. Let's see if I can get the other one out. I don't know if I can. Well, I'll just show you there. And then last but not least, I picked up a bag of buttons because you know I can't resist. There weren't a ton of great mother of pearl buttons this time in the white, but there were a few of these older shaped white ones that I like and I kind of collect. And there were some big, pretty mother of pearls that were carved a little bit. So there's just kind of a good assortment of different buttons there. And then these were the colored ones. I've cleaned them up and kind of sorted them, pre-sorted before I put them in the containers. So these are just ones that have a lot of different colors, a few interesting shapes. But the most interesting buttons in this batch were the metal buttons and some darker mother of pearl. I thought that these are shell buttons. I thought that these were just so pretty. They're very iridescent, and there's a small leaf type shape carved into it. So there were a number of those. This one's very pretty. I don't think it's mother of pearl, but it just has an interesting shape. Then there, in the metal buttons, there were these tiny little buttons that look like a pharaoh. This is almost like a jewelry finding. Not sure if it was a belt buckle or quite what it was. This is the biggest brad I have ever seen. Has sort of a military look to it. There's some buttons that kind of have a jewelry look. This one's pretty. Rose kind of set down in there. There were these little buttons that are kind of rounded that look like rosebuds. And I thought these two buttons would look good together. Whoops. It's kind of a snowflake design on a winter journal. So those are some of my finds at the flea market. I hope you'll like, subscribe, and leave me a comment. I'd really like the channel to grow, and I'd like to reach other crafters who are interested in these things. I have used the hashtags Today's Thrifty Thursday, which is hosted by Sheree at Turquoise Dreaming, and Thrifted Treasures, which is hosted by Dale at Not Too Shabby Chic. I will leave their information in the description box below, so you can check out what all the crafters are up to in their shopping adventures. Bye.